All right, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We appreciate. Please a clap, our friend. Yeah. That was a good one. Thank you very much. Yes, we'll be calling on the next speaker. The next speaker is Honorable Frank Fuseni Adongo. Is going to be taking us on African Pan-Africanism and all-encompassing engagement for peace, human rights, regulations, and Pan-Africanism as development. Honorable Frank Fuseni Adongo is a political consultant with a master's degree in international relations and diplomacy, and bachelor degrees in public administration. He serves as the chairman of the Ghana chapter of the Universal Peace Federation, UPF, an international peace organization with a general consultative status with the United Nations, ECOSOC, and a presence in 190 countries. Honorable Adongo has held and continues to play important role in several peacekeeping and climate-related initiatives, both domestically and internationally. On several occasions, he was part of the government delegation for international climate conferences. From 2017 to 2021, Honorable Adongo served as a member of the 7th Parliament for Zebila and Deputy Regional Minister, RCC, Bogetanga, Upper East Region, Ghana. He is a certified medical professional with vast experience in clinical administration and pharmaceutical transactions. And he owns a variety of medical facilities, such as clinics and health shops. He is in charge of numerous charitable efforts within the fingers of UPF Ghana. With this, can we give a clap donation to Honorable Adongo? You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for these wonderful, kind words. As he narrated in the introduction, I'm really humbled and privileged to be before you today, a gathering of people of relevance with international and national stature. I pray that the purpose for which Prof. Remy and his colleagues have brought this event to pass will succeed and will have positive impact in Africa as a whole. I got to know Prof. Remy. He doesn't always want to be called Prof. He said Remy is okay. The first time I met him in one of our meetings, in the national meetings in Accra here at Chimota, we had some kind of liking for him and told him we would give him the necessary support for whatever he wants to do in the four corners of Ghana. So we are happy to have him here. I was at Valley View University about 2 or 3 days ago to see what was transpiring there, and I was so moved. I was so moved by what the presenters were doing there in the organization. So I pray that the Lord will make us succeed and send Africa forward by His grace, in Jesus' name. Pan-Africanism, as we all know, is a political and social movement that has gained significant traction over the past century, that advocates for unity, self-determination, and empowerment of people of African descent worldwide. The movement's original vision emerged from an authentic or organic pursuit for freedom, equality, and human rights by formerly enslaved Africans in the Americas, who sought to establish a common identity. I emphasize, common identity, and address the systemic racism and oppression they suffered. Somebody will say they faced. Over time, Pan-Africanism has evolved because of the dynamism of nature, expanding its scope to encompass the liberation and unification of the African continent itself, as well as the pursuit of social, economic, and political justice for all people of African heritage. That is what research came out with. We may also state without fear of a disagreement that the Pan-African movement was a reaction to colonialism's historical legacy and the imposition of European dominance over Africa and its peoples. It preserves the same goal, since imperialism and neocolonialism and imperialism remain grave challenges on the African continent, whether direct or indirect. The common struggle against oppression, discrimination, and marginalization faced by Africans on the continent and in the diaspora serves as a unifying force, promoting the development of Pan-Africanism as a significant political and cultural force. At the heart of the Pan-African movement is the belief that Africans, regardless of their geographic location or cultural differences, shared a common history, identity, and destiny. Pan-Africanism aimed to foster a sense of solidarity and cooperation among Africans worldwide to achieve all that it takes for economic, political, and social liberation. Through conferences of this sort, organizations, and activism, Pan-Africanists work tirelessly to achieve these goals and objectives. And we are poised actually to achieve the objectives of Pan-Africanism. So what is really the thing that we want to bring out of this subject of Pan-Africanism? It emerges as a comprehensive ideological framework incorporating different groups working for African unity and independence. Independence. See? Freedom. Sustainability. Deliverance. So incorporating different groups working for African unity and independence, rooted in the historical context of the 20th century. You see, we have a scholar, Musab Yonis, according to his exploration in the 1940s, 1920s. So Pan-Africanism thus represents an all-encompassing but revolutionary, strong-willed concept that seeks not just political emancipation, but the fruits of political emancipation. See, it also is a comprehensive approach to peace building, drawing on indigenous approaches and collective capabilities to promote reconciliation and long-term peace within the African, makeup, if you like it, environment. Long-term. Nobody in his or her life wants anything that is temporal or that is transient. No. Everybody, according to nature, or by nature, everybody wants permanency in his or her life. Then what is the importance of Pan-Africanism that we or our fathers of yesteryears fought hard, bent their knowledge, energy, even some shed their blood to bring into being? So this Pan-Africanism we're talking about contributes significantly to continental peace by instilling a sense of togetherness. Despite our cultural beliefs from maybe state to state, region to region, we still have to get knitted together so that we can promote Africanism, that peace can be realized or enjoyed. Furthermore, Pan-Africanism supports the concept of communal responsibility for the well-being of all African nations, instilling a sense of interconnectivity. Interconnectivity. God has said, divided you fall, united you strong. And you get moving to achieve your objective in life. This collaborative approach to solving issues like poverty, inequality, and violence is critical for attaining long-term peace and stability in Africa. This is where, if you do something like globalization, the essence of globalization, talking about interdependence, you see, collaboration, interconnectivity, and so on and so forth. So this Pan-Africanism is something that we have to come together and look at it with some kind of, eagle eye to remove all the boundaries or the chains that will not allow us to come together like Africans to enjoy at least the purpose for which this concept has been brought about. So we have been called to action. We have been called to action. Everybody has been called to action. Everybody in your own little way, in your own corner, should come together to see how we have some kind of success or movement that can be able to discard the issue of systemic oppression and discrimination. You see, we come together as a people. No difference. See, when you're traveling within Africa, there are certain issues or behaviors or characters that you see that you may not, you wonder whether we are holding to the tenets of Pan-Africanism, and that must be abolished. That must be abolished. We said Pan-Africanism has one of the components that is very important to human living, that is economic. We have in Ghana here the AFTA, we just said, I think the office is just here, behind here, about next door or so. You see, to empower us economically, in business especially. So we need to think in a very common way to actually leverage on the fact that that institution has been settled or brought about so that we can have empowerment, especially for women, for our mothers, especially because they play very important roles in our lives. You know, there is a saying that behind a successful man is a woman. But I'm trying to see how I, as a person, can maybe become a little bit dynamic and change a little bit. I would say, in front of a successful man is a woman. You see, because the woman, if our forefathers had given them the opportunity, I think we would have grown better than we are now. So the women are people who try to wait. Thank you. Who try to go forward and destroy a lot of things for we the men to have the opportunity. There are men here who attest the fact that if not for their women, they would have gotten to where they are. You see. So in Pan-Africanism theory, we have a very important space for women. That's why in Ghana, we established something we call affirmative action for women. We don't downplay the importance of women at all. So I've already spoken about conflict resolution. African Union has been formed because of some of these things that we can come together, reason together, settle our differences, then we can move ahead. So thank you very much for giving me audience at this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Adongo. Thank you for that awesome presentation. We'll be calling on Dr. Maurice K. Dimok for his keynote speech. I'm going to read his profile. Dr. Maurice K. Murdoch was the Director of International Development at a university in Newcastle upon Tyne, UK. Dr. Dimok left to take up various consultancies with several universities before working with QS as an advisor. Dr. Dimok was founder and chairman of ASIC and ASIPWA in UK. He is now vice president of IVAT and also an independent consultant for several universities worldwide. He's assisting them with their assisting with the World University Ranking and QS star rating, where he gained quite considerable success. Dr. Dimok is also a World Bank consultant. Please, let's welcome him to take his keynote speech. Can we clap for Dr. Maurice Dimok? Doctor, the floor is open for you. Thank you very much. Doctor, please, we can barely hear you. Unmute your sound. We can't hear you. We cannot hear you, please, doctor. Unmute. Check. Okay, doctor, you can go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Again, hi. It's nice to be with you this afternoon. I was hoping to be with you in person, but because of my extensive travelling, I haven't been able to sort my visas out. I want to talk to you today about the importance of transformational leadership. Not just leadership, but transformational leadership. The African nation needs transformational leaders. And it's not just the African nation. All nations need transformational leaders. We need to move from having trained leaders to having transformational leaders. Because trained leaders, they have knowledge, but transformational leaders have wisdom. Trained leaders know the right things to do at the right time. Transformational, the right things. Transformational leaders influence others to think, to speak, and to act in ways that make a positive difference in the world today. And that positive difference is what many people all over the world want to see and experience for themselves. So I'm going to be talking about the 3 keys to transformational leadership. I'm going to be talking about the characteristics of a transformational leader. And then I'm going to go on and have a look at the key principles of a transformational leader. And then I'm going to have a look at the key practices of a transformational leader. First of all, the characteristics of a transformational leader. 1, they see things that others do not see. While many leaders will ask why, transformational leaders see things differently. And they ask, why not? Because they're always thinking about how they can create a better future. Transformational leaders see problems just like everybody else, but they also see potential within those problems. Where the vision of others perhaps stops at the problems themselves, transformational leaders see through the problems to discover the potential that they hold. There is always an answer, always a solution, a better way, a brighter future for transformational leaders. And it inspires others to follow. And that word is so important, inspires, because transformational leaders inspire others. The problem is we tend to stick to defined policies and procedures, and we stick to them by the letter. No opportunities to stray if an opportunity presents themselves. And I think this is one of the problems of the ISO system in the service sector. Second thing is they say things that others do not say. Transformational leaders speak up. They don't keep their heads in the sand. They leverage their influence by speaking bold words about a better future. Their voice becomes tools for transformation. Consider the bold words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when he spoke about his dream on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in the USA. Consider the words of Nelson Mandela when he spoke about a broken and split nation when talking about apartheid. And consider the words of our own Winston Churchill just before going to war with Nazi Germany. Most of the UK Parliament wanted to surrender. Yeah, we wanted to surrender. But then Winston spoke and they followed. Consider Jesus Christ and other religious leaders when they speak or spoke about forgiveness. I say to you today, my friends, that even though we face difficulties that we all face today and tomorrow, we know that wars are still rife. I still have a dream. It's a dream deeply that starts with and is rooted in true education for all our young people. Education is at the root of transformation. It took courage for these men to speak the voice of change when others opposed them, but they didn't hesitate to share their bold words. Understand that the higher calling of leadership is to get people to follow your cause, that you become a great leader. That's because transformational leaders are belief magnets. People are drawn to those leaders not only because they believe in their cause, but because they believe in the people too. You don't have to be charismatic to be a great leader. Just look at Mother Teresa of Calcutta. She was a quiet, gentle lady who had a very quiet disposition until she needed to speak up against her superiors. And boy, did she speak up. And people listened and followed, and she made history. 4, they feel things that others do not feel. Passion. Passion is a leader's energy. It creates momentum and tenacity for the challenges that all leaders face. Passion fires up leaders and the people that they lead, and that fire carries them forward and helps them endure. I am 74 years old now, and people keep asking me, why don't I retire? Why don't I retire and have an easy life? I do what I do because I am passionate about the work that I do, passionate about international education, passionate about developing transformational leadership. I remember one of my tutors at Hull University, he said to me, when the light goes on in your life, you want to turn everyone else's light on. And when the light goes out in your life, that's when you will know it's time to go. 5. Transformational leaders do things that others do not do. The final characteristic of a transformational leader is their willingness to do things others do not or will not do. While others procrastinate, transformational leaders act. And while others freeze because of fear, transformational leaders use their fear to find the courage to do something. What is it that gives transformational leaders such courage? Well, purpose. Transformational leaders know they exist for a reason, and they tap into this purpose whenever that arises. Now let me quickly have a look at the key principles of transformational leadership. First of all, it's visionary thinking. Transformational leaders have a clear and compelling vision for improvement. They inspire others by articulating a shared purpose and long-term goals that align with the needs of the community. I look back at the Japanese car industry. Okay, Japanese cars were known as very poor quality until they had a visionary leader brought in total quality management into their construction processes. All of a sudden, Japan became the world leaders in quality cars. And the same thing's happening now in China with electrical vehicles. 7 out of 10 electric-driven cars on the roads today are built in China. Their batteries are built in China. That's because there was a visionary leader who decided that's where they were going to invest, because that's what people want. One other principle is collaborative decision making. Transformative leaders value the input and expertise of others. They actively involve all stakeholders in decision-making processes, fostering a sense of ownership and collective responsibility. You know, I hate to see leaders who want to keep everything to themselves, as though this power that they have is for themselves and they don't want to let it go. They don't want to share it with others. Another principle is empowerment and trust. Transformative leaders, empower individuals to take risks, make decisions, and contribute to the overall success of the industry. They create a culture of trust where everyone feels valued and supported. Of course, finally, continuous improvement. Transformative leaders are committed to ongoing growth and development. They encourage a culture of continuous learning, promoting professional development opportunities for all and fostering a growth mindset amongst all their staff. Now, to finish, practices of transformative leadership. 1. Cultivate a culture of innovation. Transformative leaders encourage experimentation, creativity, and the use of new technologies and training. They provide resources and support to staff, enabling them to embrace innovative practices. Build strong relationships. Transformative leaders prioritize building strong relationships with all stakeholders. They actively listen and communicate effectively, and they establish partnerships with others in their industry, with international representatives, with research universities, and with their communities, both at home and overseas. Advocacy and equity. Transformative leaders advocate for equity and social justice in all that they do. They address the unique needs of their diverse staff, ensuring equal access to work participation and resources. And finally, a key practice of transformative leadership is making data-informed decision-making. Transformative leaders use data to inform their decision-making processes. They analyze performance, data, feedback from stakeholders, and research-based evidence to identify areas of improvement and implement effective strategies. If you'd rather try something big that is almost impossible than try something small that won't make a difference, then you've got the courage to become a transformational leader. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are a transformational leader. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Hello.
Okay, thank you. We'll be calling on the next speaker. The next speaker will be taking us on women entrepreneurship and future of entrepreneurship education, Pan-Africanism, gender and women opportunities and challenges for advancement. And I'll be calling on Professor Oluyemi Fayomi. Professor Oluyemi Fayomi is an astute multidisciplinary researcher and international relations pundit. She is a versatile scholar and administrator for functional activities in teaching, research, and community development. She started her tenure career as an academic in 2003 at Covenant University and rose to become an associate professor of international relations in 2017. She was appointed a full professor of international relations at Leeds City University, Ibadan, in August 2020. She is currently a professor of international relations at the Nigerian Army University, BU, Department of Political Science, Faculty of Social Science, BU, Borno State, Nigeria. She is a member of Knowledge Network on Climate Assemblies, that is the NOCA, and a fellow member of the African Studies Center, Leiden community. Her areas of research expertise include migration, regional integration, diaspora, e-governance, global and regional health governance, gender, peace, security, environment, and development issues. She is a recipient of several academic and leadership awards, grants and fellowships. She is a member of several academic and professional bodies. She has several publications in scholarly, peer-reviewed journals, conference proceedings, books, policy briefs, technical reports, and magazine. She concludes an international volunteering service in March 2024 under the auspices of Technical Aid Corps at Islamic University in Uganda. Department of Political Science, Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Mbale, Uganda. She was inducted on the 6th of May 2024 as a chartered member of the National Association of Artificial Intelligence Practitioners. With this, we welcome Professor Oluyemi Fayomi on the stage. Thank you very much, ma. You're welcome here. Thank you, ma.
Sorry, I'm a tall woman. So let me be creative about this. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Permit me to align with the already established protocol. My name is Oluyemi Fayomi. I'm a professor of international relations from the Nigerian Army University, Biu, Borno State, Nigeria, a volatile part of Nigeria. Boko Haram. Yes, I consider it a great privilege, to have this kind of platform, to make an interdisciplinary, presentation on issues that are germane to international system and also the black race in the African continent and also in diaspora. So I'm going to be creative about the two topics given to me by the president of Firestone International University on this women, entrepreneurship and education and all that diaspora, Pan-Africanism and all that. So I'm going to be creative about it. Can you bring up my presentation? Yes. The topic, please. I have just 15 minutes to do justice to this topic. Look at this topic. I kind of, merged the two topics given to me and came up with this: gendering, Pan-Africanism in international system, opportunities and challenges for advancement. What is gender? Gender is not about women alone. It is actually a social construct that includes you as a man and I as a woman and the roles we are playing in the society. So it is not about women alone. It is about I as a woman and you as a man. And how do we now gender? What does it come to mind when we are gendering Pan-Africanism and looking at it holistically from international system and then zeroing in on the African continent? So Pan-Africanism is not all about Africa alone. It's actually started, from the US, taking into cognizance the era of slave trade and also colonialism. And then, before moving down to Africa, African continent, for the purpose of empowering I and you, the black race in the African continent. So I'm not going to look at it from the perspective of African continent alone. I will look at it holistically and then zero in on the African continent. Now, look at this Pan-Africanism. Historically, it was actually, masculine-centered. Then by the time Harriet Tobma came in as a woman, it now became genderized. Then it included women into it. And it is actually a movement that started 19th century and then moving to 20th century, and then included people like Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, Marcus Garvey in the 20th century. And then the movement is still continuous, because I and you are still involved from the perspective of being in the African continent, and our brothers and sisters in the diaspora are also involved in this movement. So it is a movement. And now, it has evolved to the extent that it embraces gender equality as a core principle. When we are talking about this equality, we are not talking about male and female, dragging it. We are looking at it from the perspective of equity, fairness to both gender, both male and female gender. And then, like I said, gender is a social construct. It is not about biological sex. It is about roles I and you are playing in the society and what the society also expects from I and you. Next slide, please. I have 15 minutes to do justice, please. Now, to the next slide. Let me speak to this. To the next slide. No. Can you please go back? Before we move to this, the second slide, please, after the introduction. Because I want to, yes, move again, move backward before the historical antecedent, yes. Move again. Can I have it? Can I control it, please? Let me control it. Give me the remote. Because I want to speak to CEDAW. CEDAW is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and it's a legal framework. It is an international human right that all the member states of UN actually signed. They were signatories to it in 1979, and then it entered into force in 1981. And currently, in 2023, can I control it? Yeah, as of 2023, out of the 198 members of the UN, only 189 are signatories to CEDAW. We call it CEDAW. Because I'm speaking to the people with diverse backgrounds here. So I need to kind of take it easy and demystify the CEDAW. Okay, yes. I said, this is actually followed by the foundational international human rights treaty adopted by the UN in 1979, and it is called CEDAW. That is Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. And this, actually, I said, is a legal framework, and it's obligation for states to take affirmative action and empower women. Move to the next slide, please. Out of the 193 membership of the UN, only 189 members, legal framework called CEDAW. And just stay here. And can you believe that the United States of America is part of the countries that did not accede to this legal framework? There are about 4 outside of Africa, then 2 from Africa. So 6 are not signatories to this CEDAW. Sudan and Somalia from Africa, out of 54 membership of AU, only 52 are signatories to this CEDAW. Then 4 are not signatories to this CEDAW. Tonga, Palau, Iran, and the US are not signatories to this CEDAW. Can we say that they are not gender sensitive? These are bugging questions. Are we saying they are not gender sensitive? These 6 countries that are not, that are members of the UN but are not signatories to this CEDAW. And then there's another bugging question. The US presidential election is coming up next month. Are we saying that Kamala Harris is going to emerge or is not going to emerge? Can we say that that was actually what deprived Hillary Clinton from being selected by the inner caucus? These are questions for you. Now, let's go historical. The historical antecedents of Pan-Africanism, gender, and CEDAW. That very particular term, Pan-Africanism, was coined by George James in the late 19th century. Actually, Pan-Africanism has been in existence in the 19th century, of course. And in 20th century, there was a resurgence, led by Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, and Marcus Garvey. And then, during this 20th century, conferences great Africanists, Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey actually is from Jamaica. He's a Jamaican-born, black man. And then let's look at the concept of gender. Like I said, it's a social construct. And then I've discussed about this CEDAW, which entered into force in 1981. And then the origin of CEDAW can be traced back to United Nations Decade for Women, which happened between 1975 and 1985. If you can remember Beijing Conference and all that, which actually opened the eyes of women to what? To equal opportunities. We are not talking about equally men, our male counterparts. We are talking about give us the opportunity, give us the space so that we can thrive. We are not competing, but we are just saying that give us the opportunity to thrive. And now, my second topic is a converging perception of CEDAW, gender, and Africanism. These three concepts are actually interconnected. And in Africa, for instance, CEDAW has been instrumental in establishing legal frameworks, promoting awareness for somebody like me now to come into academia and also, try to want to perish. And then empower women, giving us, this space, to thrive. I want to, appreciate my brother here for giving me this space, platform to express myself. Now, let's move to the next slide. I have 15 minutes, I have 10 more minutes. Now let's look at the synergies, the CEDAW and Pan-Africanism. The convergence of this CEDAW, gender equality and Pan-Africanism offers significant opportunities for advancing women's rights in Africa. Remember I said that I'm going to zero in on African issues. Now, look at these synergies, which include shared goals, complementarity, culture. Now, we have some challenges. There are the patriarchy challenges. Move back to the previous slide. The following challenges that in 1979, which entered into force in 1981, but most of the African countries are yet to domesticate CEDAW. For instance, Nigeria is yet to domesticate CEDAW. Yes, and that is why Nigeria has never had any female governor since 1960. No female governor. Now let's demystify this gender, Pan-Africanism, and CEDAW. Like I explained earlier on, that it is not about biological sex, it's about role, gender. And there's kind of fluidity in gender. Because right now we have transgender, that. We have transgender. we have LGTB plus Q and all that. So we have, so there's a kind of fluidity in gender, and there's a intersectionality in gender. Remember that, you know, it's intertwined, you know, with race and all that. Now look at CEDAW, like I said, it's a comprehensive framework which is actually legal. And then it also goes beyond, you know, legal protection too. Let's move to the next slide. And then, in terms of the collective action, CEDAW is a tool for collective action. And then, when we look at Pan-Africanism, from this perspective, it is about unity and solidarity. And it also goes beyond politics. Pan-Africanism is more than just a political ideology. It's a cultural and social movement that celebrates African heritage and seeks to empower African communities. And then from the feminist perspective, Pan-African feminism integrates gender equality into the broader Pan-African struggle, recognizing that women's liberation, you know, actually matters a lot. And then let's look at the opportunities for gendering Pan-Africanism. We have about 5 opportunities. Number 1 is addressing gender inequalities, enhancing inclusivity, and also promoting economic empowerment. The inclusivity we are talking about is for me to be, I as a woman, to be included in governance, for me to occupy strategic positions for my children, my girls, you know, to have opportunities to be educated and also get the right job. And for my female girls, you know, to study, to be allowed to study engineering, to be allowed to study medicine. And fortunately, I have 2 girls, I don't have a boy. And they both studied engineering, biomedical engineering, and also electrical electronics engineering. Now, strengthening democratic look at this, strengthening democratic governance, addressing gender-based violence. You know, gender-based violence may also be a domestic violence too and all that. Conclusively, to the next slide. Yes, these are challenges. Patriarchy structure, lack of data, political, economic, marginalization, internal divisions. I conclude, conclusively, the consolidation of CEDAW, gender equality and Pan-Africanism present a complex and dynamic landscape in Africa. And it is a truism that these 3 concepts are interconnected and essential for understanding the complexities of gender equality and social justice. So by demystifying these concepts, we can better appreciate their significance and work towards a more equitable and inclusive world. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Prof. All right. Okay, we'll be calling on the VVU moving group to entertain us for just few minutes. We will continue with. All right.